So back with another video. This video I'm going to talk about my actual Habitica habits and how I organize Habitica, and basically the habits, the dailies, the to-do list, and the rewards, and how to take a balanced approach to it. And I feel like the way I've organized it can probably work for anyone. And so with that said, let's just get started and into it. There we go. Okay. So I'm not going to really get into the gaming aspects of Habitica yet. I still need to explore them myself. But it's worth getting into just the way I've sort of organized things currently, and just talking about that. But these things might change in the future for me. Obviously, nothing is constant. Everything keeps changing, and there's no perfect way to do it. And in fact, I would encourage everyone to do it their own way, because it requires your personality to come out in the way you construct your goals and habits and dailies and to-dos and rewards. But this should give you a pretty good idea of some ways you can construct it, and then you should just run wild with it and maybe take a few ideas and come up with a few own ideas and work with it. So starting off with the habits themselves. So I won't be discussing much of the gaming aspects and how they work. I'll kind of touch upon them but not really get into them. I'm mainly looking to discuss my actual habits, dailies, to-dos, and rewards, and how I've organized Habitica for myself and how it's helping me. So first of all, I've set up a very simple habit of using Habitica itself. Every time I use Habitica and I open Habitica, I just give myself a plus point. So let's just get into this particular one. So I've written habits, dailies, to-dos, and rewards. So every time I do it, it's a positive habit, I consider, but I can also consider a trivial habit. It's not very hard to do, so that's why trivial. And I sort of reset the streak of this habit. Every day it gets reset. You can choose to reset your streaks weekly or monthly. But for habits themselves, I use daily streaks, and for dailies I use monthly streaks. And that's mainly because I'm more concerned with doing these daily and doing it several times a day. So right now I entered Habitica. Suppose I give myself a plus, and you can notice this, that you got more experience and you got some gold. And so every time you do something positive, you'll get experience and gold. Every time you do something negative, you actually lose health from your health. And if you lose all your health, you actually die out and lose all your gold. And then you start at a level below. So if you lose a level, you actually lose all your full gold amount. And you get experience, you get this. And every time you level up, you get more sort of... let's see, how do I call it? Basically, you get certain elements. I'll just see here and show you all that in a second. Certain stats that you can fill up into different categories and level your character and make your character better. As you can see, I have 24 points to allocate, and I have not really been working on the gaming aspect. I've just purely been focused on just setting up my initial aspects of it. So I'm currently experimenting with 3 different bad habits that I've been trying to stop, and I'm doing pretty good with them, but I just consider them bad. And there's always exceptions to things. Nothing is like extreme, but I feel like this is like a waste of time. I'm not even going to get into it too much, but yeah, PMO. And if you can there's so much research now, like there's Reddit threads on it about nofap, and so many places where you can get into why doing these things is considered bad currently. I don't know one way or the other, but for me at least, it's a time waster. And so if I can avoid it, as long as I can avoid it, I would like to. And it's an experiment for me right now. Maybe I'll learn my biology. It's not possible to, but it's just an experiment to try. I feel it's something I want to try out. And so far it's been working. And I've seen some benefits to it. And so moving on from that, the next thing is watching videos. I feel I spend way too much time, or at least I used to spend way too much time watching movies, TV shows, just gaming. I used to game. I've not been a gamer for a while, but yeah. And just spending too much time watching YouTube videos. So I'm not stopping myself from doing that, but I'm sort of setting it up to where every time I do it, it's negative. And I've surprised myself with it because I've probably not watched a movie or a TV show or played a video game. A video game I've not played it much longer, but probably not watched a movie show or TV show in like 2 months plus, around 2 months, which is, if you know me, you would know that I really love movies and TV shows, or at least I used to, when it was something that I didn't think I would ever be able to not do, sort of. But currently I'm able to do it, and I don't feel that withdrawal. I don't feel that I'm missing out. Like, I'm not like, oh, I wish I could watch a TV show. It's not that way at all. I have just so many other things on my plate, so many other things that I'm doing, that I don't feel that pull back. With YouTube videos, I do watch certain videos, certain things still, but I've cut down on the time I put into it. And so so I'm very happy with the progress I'm making with watching videos and not watching them. Basically, I consider these bad habits just because of the time they take and not because of any other particular reason. I feel the most important resource you have in life is time itself and not money. If you have time, you can make money. If you're going to live for 1,000,000 years, you make $1 million even if you make $1 a day. So it's not our most important resource. The most limited resource for us is time, and we don't know how much time we do have. No one does. And so we should spend that time as wisely as possible doing things that we consider most important, that we love, and trying to not waste time on short-term satisfactions and focus on things long-term. As human beings, it's really easy for us to focus on that short-term burst of pleasure, be it by watching a TV show, playing a video game, drinking a drink of alcohol, smoking caffeine, whatever it is, whatever your guilty pleasure you consider is. So I'm not trying to be super strict where I'm like, oh, I'll never do this ever again in my life. I probably will, especially with some of the things like watching a movie or TV show. But currently where I'm at is I'm trying to experiment with not doing it, just for now at least, and seeing how I do with that. So with that said, moving on to the third one, I kind of hit upon it, is just drinking alcohol, doing smoking, and caffeine. Now caffeine's an interesting one for me because it's not really considered a drug per se, but I was kind of researching it a little bit, and it definitely affects your body every time you have caffeine. You cannot say it has no effect on you when you have a cup of caffeine. It does raise your heart rate. It does make you more alert for at least a temporary. So it is affecting you biologically. It is a drug. If something is changing you biologically, it's drug. Now, that by that definition, I guess even food could be considered a drug. Sure, since it gives you a burst of, allows you to get energy from the food and this and that. But I was just looking it up, and how alcohol is, I think it suppresses the system. It basically depresses your, not the word immunity, it depresses not your nervous system. Basically, they are the opposites. So while caffeine is a stimulant to your body, alcohol is a depressant. It makes you more numb, sort of a thing. So if they are opposites, then they're both sort of doing something to you that might not be good. With alcohol, like, there's so many studies proving that, yeah, it has bad effects on your liver and this and that. But with caffeine, there's no studies and such. But it's just something that I feel that if I stop, I'd be calmer and more relaxed. And so I would like to experiment with it. This is another experiment for me. So I'm not basing any of this on any sort of science or anything like that. It's just me trying to experiment with things and seeing how I feel. So I'm the test subject myself, and I'm just looking to see, okay, I stopped this. Did it really affect me badly, or did it actually help me? And I'm just looking to do that in several of these categories, which I'm considering bad habits. And I'm mainly considering them, as I said, for the time, but some of them are because of the way they affect my body. With smoking, I've not done it for years, so I'm not even bothered with that too much. And other sort of drugs I really don't do. And alcohol also I've stopped since, like, probably 6 months, 3 months, 3 to 6 months, somewhere in there. I've not had a lot of alcohol. And if I've had it in the last 3 to 6 months, it's been like very rarely, very, very, very rarely. I'm talking about once or twice. So I'm really happy with the progress I've made with drugs, not doing them. And caffeine is something, as I said, I'm experimenting with. So I want to go caffeine free and see how that affects me. Does it calm me? Does it cool me? Do I feel withdrawal? Which I'm pretty sure I might feel some withdrawal. But after that, I want to see, am I not as jittery? Am I not getting as frustrated or something else of that sort? And am I just more centered and calm as an individual? So that's just something I'm experimenting with. Same with PMO. Something I've sort of lost interest in over time. Especially with the P, I've not seen that in a long time. But the MO also is something that I've just looking to just totally cut down on to 0 for now. And just don't feel the need to. And as I said, the time spent in that could be better spent doing other things. So it's something I want to experiment just removing for at least a few months from my life and seeing if it is making me better or worse. I realize it's a biological need at some place, and so with another person I can see, this is mainly, as I said, everything has its exceptions. When I say PMO, I'm mainly concerned of individually doing it alone, sort of a thing. If you have a significant other or something, that's then, love making and this and that, and that's fine. There's proven biological need to feel another person physically and this and that. So, and yeah, so I'm not mocking love or relationships here or whatever. I'm just saying I would like to, with the current place I'm here in my life currently, is something I would like to just not for a while at least and see how it goes. And as I said, you can check out so many videos on it right now. NoFap seems to be a trend on Reddit, on YouTube, and the videos that have been made on it are pretty high up on the list. And I feel like all these things, there is science behind them, in the sense that whenever you give yourself a temporary pleasure in any form, your body releases dopamine and other drugs, which it's an easy form of receiving that. And if you're used to receiving that in easy forms, you won't have the motivation and drive to do things long term that would give you that same dopamine, because you're already getting the dopamine hit short term daily in your YouTube video or whatever TV show you see or movie. So it's way easier to do. It's just so easy to sit down and watch a YouTube video, and your body is liking that, your brain releasing dopamine because you're enjoying it. But if you go for delayed gratification, delayed pleasure by doing things that won't feel good doing maybe in the short term, but in the long term, they might have a very positive effect and give you that dopamine hit long term. So to have that desire to get that dopamine hit long term, by denying yourself the temporary pleasures of life, you probably, give yourself that extra motivation to do it long term. And that's the main sort of experiment I'm on. So moving on, since this video is going to end up being long if I don't, but it's probably going to end up being long anyways. So moving on to the other one is meditate. So with meditate, I'm just, every time I do any one of these things, I will give myself a positive, which is breathing meditation, mindfulness meditation, writing in my journal, using Habitica. And this Habitica using is not the same as that, because that every time I just enter Habitica, I'll give myself a trivial plus point just to give myself a little boost of things that I'm doing things right. This is, I'll give myself a plus point here when I actually do something in Habitica positive, or I complete a daily or complete a to-do or something. So that's sort of a completion plus. And then I have using magic. Now magic is a book I'm actually reading by Rhonda Byrne that it's pretty interesting. It's mainly to deal with having gratitude in your life for several things. And so I'm trying to make that a daily habit and just going through the book and doing the exercises. So with that, that's why that's magic, is that it's not some sort of hocus pocus magic. It's just gratitude basically. And another thing, silent, is because I'm just trying to be more silent in life in general. And not only silent from outside, silent from inside. Just not having a constant rattling of thoughts running through your mind, and just being more at peace. Not being calm, being just there in the present moment without having these things, which I mentioned after that, which is some negative thought going through your mind, some expectations that someone should have behaved some way and they didn't. And so being disappointed because, or having some complaint for someone, or being angry, or being too talkative. So just trying to, this meditate basically for me can be considered as mental health, and I consider it that way, that it is basically working on your mental health daily and improving your mental health daily. And you can obviously have other sub habits in here. So if you just go into meditate, just to show you all one. So I consider this positive and negative, because as you can see, the minus is in the plus. And if I have negativity, expectation, complaints, anger. So every time I have some sort of negative thought come into my mind, or have an expectation, or I complain about something, or I feel angry about something, or I feel like I was blabbering and being too talkative maybe, I will give myself a negative touch hit. And every time I don't do that, I'll give myself a positive. And I consider these easy because individually these are pretty easy. But when I do them as a group, which I will cover in dailies, I will consider them much more, I'll consider them hard at that point, because then I'm looking to do multiple things and making sure I do them. And as I said, for habits, I reset my streaks daily, not weekly. So if I click on weekly, you can see the daily. So I choose daily streak reset. So as many times I do it in a day, I'm only concerned with that. And I'll just get to the tags here. I did not really get to them, but I will get to them. But I'll finish my habits first, and then I'll get to the tags. Just going to adjust my mic a little here. Okay. So yeah, as I said, so if you consider meditation is for your mental health, then for your physical health is exercise. And basically cardio, doing steps, doing any body weight exercises like push-ups, pull-ups, abs, anything related to that, I'd consider that body weight exercises, or in doing weights. So giving myself encouragement every time I do this and doing that basically daily, and the more times I do it, the more I'm going to get more experience, get more gold, and I'm going to move up in level. Currently I'm a level 24. So this, just to hit upon Habitica itself, it works in a very weird way. You think that you know it's a game, it's not going to help you, how can this motivate me, sort of a thing, but it does. You get sort of addicted to wanting those pluses and not wanting those minuses. Like, I really hate to click on this button. I really hate it nowadays. Like, I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. So I'll avoid watching a YouTube video because I don't want to admit that I did it and for 10 minutes and then give myself a minus. So I can't tell you like use it sort of thing. Like, you should use it and then you'll know how it feels. So I would say try it before you mock it, sort of a thing. And if you try it and don't like it, fine. But for me, initially it was very easy. I was like, whatever, it's easy. But once you do it for a while, it really, you do get addicted to wanting those streaks, wanting that daily streak, and wanting the dailies to work out for you. And this is my balanced approach basically. So I'm taking care of my mental health, I'm taking care of my physical health. So those are some things that I feel that everyone should be doing daily, without question. Lately, exercise has got a lot of hype, that exercise is good for health and everyone should be exercising. I feel the next hype to be had in the next 10 years is going to be mental health, and that everyone should be doing breathing meditation, mindfulness meditation, and being present in the current moment, etc., etc. And just journaling will, I feel like people undervalue the positive effect of just sitting down and writing. I don't care what the thoughts are going through your head, just sit down and write. It'll make a difference. Whatever you're going through, just sit down and write for however long you feel. And you should feel like, I don't want to share that thoughts with anyone. Write it on a piece of paper and tear it up, or delete the file, or just leave it. Write it and leave it. You never have to look back at it again. I use OneNote to journal, but there's so many journaling apps, so it's up to you what you would like to use. So moving on from exercise, this is just routine habits that pretty much, again, everyone will be doing during the day, whether it's brush, floss, gargle, showering, washing your face, taking care of your hair and shampoo, whatever, maybe applying some lotion, whatever, So pretty much something that everyone can do, and every time I do it, any one of them, I'll give myself a positive. Now coming to diet. So first thing I do is I count calories, which I will reserve for another video, since I count calories in a different sort of way, and I'll just refer to that and how I'm losing weight and looking to lose more weight. So I'll cover that in a totally separate video, which I talk about losing weight in. So moving on for diet. So basically food is divided into vegetables, fruits, grains, protein, dairy, and fats. And pretty much everything can have either be healthy or unhealthy. Like vegetables, if you're putting a lot of oil in it, then it's going to have a negative and a positive. Grains, if you're eating just oats, probably very healthy and plus. But if you're having bread and butter, then that's going to be a negative and a positive. Same with protein. If you're just having nuts, it's just going to be positive. If you're having normal natural fruits, it's going to be positive. But if you're having dry fruits, they're high in sugar content, so it's probably going to be a negative for the sugar and sweets. along with the positive. So it's sort of a mixed bag, but if you just make healthier choices in what you eat, so if you're having boiled vegetables or having vegetables sauteed in a good oil, the oil will be the negative, but the vegetable will be the positive. But to try to have more boiled vegetables, try to have more natural fruits, try to have oats for breakfast, try to have more protein in the form of nuts or boiled chicken, boiled fish, just having those are like pure healthy things and pure pluses. But if you're mixing some minuses with them, that's fine, as long as overall you weigh yourself towards more vegetables and fruits in your diet, and grains and protein, and dairy. Dairy is just milk. Now again, milk, if you're having tea or coffee and you're putting sugar in it, then it becomes a negative and a positive, for the sugar content being negative and the milk itself being a positive. And obviously if you're having those high fat milks, then the fat is going to be the negative in it to begin with, and then it's going to have positive because milk will have vitamin D and it's good for you in certain ways. So what this has done for me, the single thing, is just basically made me eat healthier. And that's because as I mentioned before, I don't like getting those negatives. So automatically I'm cut down on my biscuits significantly, and just less butter, less cheese, don't want to eat those items, and I focus on eating more items. And it just changes your thinking. When you think about food, you think about, where am I short? Since I'm counting calories, so I'm thinking of where am I short in my day, what have I not had that is healthy for me, and then I look to eat that, if at all possible. So far what I covered, these 4 habits are sort of health habits in general, but pretty much if you're not meditating, if you're not exercising, I would say do it. And the way to take that approach to it would be don't try to do it for a certain amount of time, or don't say I'm going to do all these things. Take the 1 minute rule, that I will just exercise for a minute. So you can't tell me that you can't just stand in one spot and jog for a minute. That's all I'm asking. Do that. And automatically when you do it for the minute, you'll end up doing it for a few minutes, and that's fine. But don't commit to doing it for 10 minutes. Don't commit to doing it for 20 minutes even. Don't commit that I'll exercise 30 minutes daily and I'll do all these things. That's too much of a commitment. You won't meet the commitment long term. The key is consistency. So just set yourself up with a goal that is easily achievable. So suppose if you want to do steps, don't set yourself a 10,000 step goal to begin with. You won't stick to it. You won't be able to make it if you're not doing steps regularly. Set yourself up with a easy goal of steps, something that you can meet daily and is not tough, and then build on that. But you just try to make that minimum daily goal. Whether it is, so I would say for me it would be, currently I've built up to 5,000 steps daily, and I have a streak going off that. But I didn't start there. I started with just telling myself, I'll just do a little bit of cardio, a little bit of body weight, a little bit of weights daily. And just for a minute, just one exercise. I can do one exercise, right? It's not tough. Same with meditation. I didn't start off with so much. I started off with just the breathing, and then the mindfulness, then the journal, then more, and you can keep adding on as you get better at doing it. But start off really simple. Start off with the rule that I'm looking to just do it for a minute. I'm looking to just sit there daily and breathe for a minute and count my breath. Just feel my breath going in and out of my body. And that's all I'm going to do. That's my meditation for the day, for a minute. Everyone has that minute. You can't tell me you don't have that minute. So look to do that. So moving on from that, next is work. So for every 30 minutes of work I do, I'll give myself a positive. And whether it's study, practice work, whatever work I'm doing, every time I'm doing work, I'll give myself a 30-minute positive for it. And that's pretty simple. Everyone works, so you might set it up for every hour. So 8 hours, 8 positives. I set it up for every half an hour. So, and as I said, everyone will set it up their way. Same with hobbies. Now, hobbies are like self-improvement, studying. Just YouTube itself is a hobby for me. So every 30 minutes I spend studying a topic that I would like to cover on YouTube or practicing it. I will give myself a plus. So, and for 30 minutes, pretty self-explanatory. Everyone has work. Everyone has hobbies in their lives. Everyone should have hobbies in their lives. And I don't consider watching TV a hobby. When I say hobbies, I mean something productive. Something that might add to someone else's life or might add to your life. It should be a skill that you're learning. Something that improves your life, not something that you don't get anything out of long term. Watching a TV show is not a habit. Watching a movie is not a hobby. Yeah, that's something you do for pleasure, but it's not a hobby of yours. If it is a hobby, then it's not a productive hobby. And it should not be a positive you're giving yourself for that. For doing a hobby. So, moving on from there. Chores. Everyone has chores in life. I don't know a person who does not. Whether it's making a bed, filling water, doing the dishes, cleaning, vacuuming, mopping, laundry, washing some fruits, making some tea, serving food, making food, whatever it is you're doing. Everyone has chores. When you do them, give yourself a positive. It might seem really stupid to some, hey, what am I doing? But trust me, I think it changes your psychology in some ways, where you don't crib the chores anymore. I don't feel like it makes me want to do them more than I would normally want to do them. Like, I know I need to do them, so it's like a responsibility. Everyone knows it's a responsibility. Hey, I gotta do these things. Gotta keep the house clean. Gotta do whatever I gotta do as my chores. But when you give yourself that plus point, you realize you're doing something positive. You're having a positive habit that you're doing, and it's not a bad thing. It's not something that I should feel bad, do it, but feel bad. Ugh, so I'm happy washing the dishes. Yeah, 2-3 times I'll get 3 pluses. It helps me move up. I know I'm progressing. So it sort of at least removes the negativity from the whole chores thing, I feel. And it makes you feel way more positive about overall experience. And the last one is just a sleep book. I like reading books. If you ask me what my guilty pleasure still is, it would be reading books, and not my work books, which goes under the hobbies category, as I said, but more of just fictional books. And whether it's an audiobook or an ebook, so I let myself have that before bed. And for every 10 minutes I do have it, I get a positive, because I feel that's a positive. Everyone needs rest and relaxation, stress relief time. Whether it's doing a sleep book, whether it's spending time with family, whether it's watching a TV show. But I would say, let yourself have the negative habits if you really need them, which I consider negative. But instead of having them just easily without thinking about them, do them as rewards. So I will just skip to rewards straight from here and just talk about that. And so let's get to rewards. So as you can see, they have some rewards for you in way of items that you can buy, but you can set up custom rewards, which is right here. So you can choose watch TV, play a game, eat a treat. It's up to you. And what I would say is, put it as a reward. You have a favorite TV show or movie you want to watch, put it that you have to spend a certain amount of gold, which you earned by doing your habits and dailies, as a reward. put it here and reward yourself in that way. So you know you're taking a reward. You know you're doing something that's not going to further your goals, but it's something you want to do, and you're allowing yourself that as long as you've done your habits and dailies, and put a charge on it, put an amount on it. How much gold is that reward worth to you? And do it that way. Same with buying items, buying physical things in life. Put them as rewards. Let yourself do the work and then earn the money and then get the reward. Don't give yourself that instant gratification. Let yourself have delayed gratification and make yourself work for that dopamine hit. Make yourself work to get that release of those brain chemicals that feel so good. And do it that way. So since I've gone pretty long on habits themselves, I'm just going to cover habits and rewards in this video, and that's it. I'm just going to end it here. And in the next one, I will cover dailies and to-dos list in more detail. The last thing I wanted to cover that I really didn't cover is tags, which I'll also get to in the next video, and how I set up my tags, dailies, and to-do list. But for now, I think this is enough for one video, and it's pretty lengthy. So thank you for watching. Bye for now.